Hi everyone, Chaz here from GNDA Balls Hitters team. Got to say that carefully nowadays. I'm trying something out new today, and I thought whilst I do it I might as well kind of do a review of it because it's something that we've not come across before. And it's regarding dartboards. Now we're all very familiar with the windmill dartboard. It's practically used by every single bar that we go to. It's either the Blade 4, Blade 5 or the Blade 5 dual core that we're seeing out there. And we all use them because, you know, they're one of the best dartboards out there, always have been and always will be. But they do have an issue. They have a couple of issues. What I'm going to do is be reviewing a different dartboard to try it out to see how it compares with the windmills. So anyway, but to start with why I'm doing this, first of all let me zoom in on the board. As you can see, the ball here is pretty well beaten up. Now the original 20 has some wear in it, but it's still completely usable, and I've been regularly rotating my board, you know, to even out the wear, and I've never used, you know, more than 3/4 of the board for the 20, but the bull is severely beat up. That generally tends to happen because it doesn't matter where you rotate the board, the bull is always going to be the bull. So it tends to get beating up before the treble 20s do, depending on what your practice routine is. But where any windmill board, I've noticed this, is where you have an area of concentration. The darts hit it and they can tend to bunch the sisal fibres up, which will create a knot within the sisal fibres, so that when your dart hits it, rather than embedding in it, it's like it hits a block of wood and bounces out. Even though you're not hitting the wire, you can actually hit the sisal fibres and have a dart that doesn't want to stick in too well. Like there's an area there that it just goes in and hits. So the whole purpose of what I'm doing today is to try and address this issue and find a board that is going to last as long as I'm able to rotate it all the way around, get even wear on the board whilst preventing the sisal fibres from bunching up. That's what today is all about. This is what we're looking at today, is a dartboard called the Gladiator II from 180 Darts. Things to note, first of all, what you can see is in the back here is they've installed a metal ferrule. Basically what it means is it has a metal threaded ferrule in here so that you can screw a bolt into it rather than screwing a screw directly into the wood. And for those of you who have ever changed out your dartboards and you're doing that screw in and out, you know that you can very quickly damage the wood on the dartboard and create a loose fit. So having the metal ferrule in the back is something which I think is actually a marked improvement. What you can't see, and this is a great innovation, they are spikes that go down from the spider ring, and when they press the spider ring into the sisal, those spikes actually embed in the backboard to prevent the wires from shifting, moving or even lifting out. Now that's something which I've had on the windmill dartboards before, is particularly around the bull areas, the spider wires start to lift out and come out to the board, and sometimes you have to press them in. And a lot of us got boards where you can see on these edges on the windmill boards you have to start pushing the wires back in, and sometimes a little bit of super glue on those can fix that problem. It's not the end of the world, but it has been a problem, particularly with shot dartboards, which also has a thin razor blade, or DMI, shot DMI. They have very thin razor wires, but the wires are prone to lift out of the board. I've had two boards from Shot, the Bandit and the Bandit Pro Trainer, and both dartboards ended up dying, not because the sisal wore out, but because the spider wire was lifting out and made the dartboard unusable. So the fact that these guys have actually located the spider ring and embedded into the dart backboard, I think is a great idea, because now the life of the board is being dictated by the quality of the sisal rather than whether the spider wires come out and ruin the dartboard for use in that respect. So we've now got the board mounted. It's a very clean dartboard. One thing I can say that even though there's Chinese manufacturing, they do seem to have taken a lot of lessons from the German counterparts as far as build quality is concerned. I already mentioned and showed you the ferrule in the back of the dartboard. That actually made this the mounting of this very easy. I didn't have to force screw the good old-fashioned windmill screw into the back of the dartboard. It was supplied with a bolt, and the bolt went through my bracket into the back of the dartboard and slotted straight onto the windmill bracket, which was still on the wall, so I didn't have to change the wall bracket. It works directly with that existing one. The ink is very even. It's a very nice printing on the ink. There's some dust on it where I've got my fingerprints on it, but the black is very even. The green and reds are very distinct and totally contained within the double and treble areas and the bull areas. There's no bleed through of the ink into surrounding areas, so it's a very clean looking board as far as that concerned. You still have some, like I said, of the veins where you can see the sisal packets have been bunched together, and you have those telltale veins that practically all dartboards have. I have to say it's a very clean looking board. It's a similar sort of price to the windmill blade 5s, which are currently around about $65, and this one I picked up for $60. So it's the same sort of price, but obviously there are some subtle differences, namely being, like I said, the ferrule in the back. The quality of the ink certainly seems to be better than a windmill. And the evenness of the colouring without bleed through into surrounding areas is definitely something that is an improvement. But as far as first impressions of the dartboard is concerned, the mounting of it using the ferrule and the quality of the ink and the fact that the spider is mounted to the backboard does suggest that they have spent a lot of time in making sure that they're producing a board of some quality. In the box, I should say, they supplied the bolt that went into that ferrule, so that's why I no longer needed the good old-fashioned screw that came with the windmill. Of course, in the box comes the usual set of instructions telling us all how to play 501 cricket and 301. They also have this little bag, which does come again with the similar mounting bracket to the windmill one, and unlike the 3 metal springs that come in the back with the windmill, it has these black rubber feet complete with the mounting screws and tacks, so that you can put the mounting feet. I'm not actually using these because of the nature of my lighting system. I have adjustable feet on here to hold my dartboard securely in place, but they are supplied, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so let's throw some darts at this sucker. I should point out that I'm using Storm Nano Grip points, which a lot of people feel could actually do damage, but having my experience with the Storm Nano Grips, I'm not worried about using them on a brand spanking new board. Okay, so they do hit nicely. It actually has a satisfying thunk. They're not bedding in too deeply, which would suggest that the sisal is densely packed. Let's try more central. I would say yes, the sisal fibres are definitely packed more densely than they are on a standard windmill. The points don't seem to bed in quite as far. The board's got a good grip on them, but then of course, like I said, that's a lot of the time is down to the fact that I use these Storm Nano Grip points. They're not pulling the fibres out, and the fibres do seem to be healing up nicely as they're supposed to. So yeah, let's try, these are 25 gram darts that I'm using here as well with those points. I don't have a vast range of weights available on my darts. I think the lightest set I've got are 23 grams. Let's give these ones a try. Now these are just plain black points. These are Harrow's Assassins. Let's... Again, they're not bedding in too deeply, which is in confirming the fact that the sisals are densely packed. So maybe for those people who are, I'd say, soft tip throwers using conversion points, if you're also a light thrower that tends to loop your darts a little bit more, that potentially could be an issue. If I try and loop one gently. It's not my throwing technique, so it's kind of difficult, but that was about as gentle as I could throw it. These are 23 gram darts, and I looped this very gently, and it sat in there quite nicely. Let's try and do that again. Try and get some height in them. Okay, that's about as gentle as I can throw, and you know, it's obviously the accuracy all goes out the window, but the point is to see what a gently thrown dart does in the board. This one obviously was the lightest one to hit, so that's got that good. I'm using black coated point, so it probably would become out a lot easier if it was a plain silver point. But even a lightly thrown dart did sit in that rather nicely. But like I said, they are very densely packed. Now the beauty of the fact that you have a densely packed sisal fibre board is the fact that it is actually going to give you long life as far as wearing it out when you're pummeling your 2020, as we all do, because we're all that good. You tend to get wearing out around here, so obviously it is advisable to rotate your board every now and again and move a different number segment to the 20 and slide your number ring wire round. Now I think we all do that, but I think it's fairly safe to say that most of us wear out a dartboard on the sisals on a different area, like I did with my windmill, before we've actually fully rotated the board and worn out all the areas on it, which is one of the reasons why I'm trying this dartboard. Anyway, so conclusions really comes down to it does seem to be extremely well made. The quality of the dartboard is really quite impressing upon me. It's a good looking clean dartboard, and even though, like I said, the company themselves, they've only been around since 2005, but coupled up with their mission, which seems to be producing dartboards dart products of high quality. But do I like it? Well, out of the box, yes, I'm impressed. The colours are nice, the sisal density is nice, the obvious quality, attention to detail and manufacturing is good. I'm particularly in love with the fact that the spider wire is attached to the backboard so that it can't lift out or move. Which is something which tends to happen with a lot of spider wires. They are very thin. The outer bull ring here is a lot thinner than the windmill, and in fact so is the centre bull ring. It's very very thin, which is why I think they refer to their wiring as sword edge, which, like I said, is probably what spawned the name Gladiator and the sword edge concept. So it's a good looking board. It's obviously well made. There are details about it which endorse that just by glancing. If you didn't know about the spider wire being embedded, I think they could have probably made more of a feature out of that on the box, because it's certainly a problem which I personally have experienced, not so much with windmills but certainly with shot and DMI boards, where the spider wire tends to lift out of the sisal, causing premature death to your arrow board. Anyway, there you go, that's the 180 Gladiator II. Read up some reviews of it online yourself, don't take my word for it, and research into it. Like I said, there's a Gladiator III out there now which has got this English Darts Organisation sponsor endorsement. So there you go, there's my review on the Gladiator II from 180 Darts. I hope that's been helpful, and maybe I'll post some pictures with this along with this video, to get some close-ups of it, and in a few weeks when I've been hammering the hell out of it, we'll see how it stood up to its first initial run. But there you go, 180. Let's have a look at something other than windmill.